A colleague insisted I train him on my job because he wanted my position, smirking. You should teach me everything since I'll be replacing you soon. When I refused, he rolled his eyes and said, Fine, then I'll just take credit for your work until they notice me. The boss walked in, held up a stack of reports and said, Funny, because we already noticed. And security will be escorting you out. Hey everyone. This story has been sitting with me for a long time. Every now and then, I think about it and still shake my head at how real and ridiculous it got. I worked hard for years to get to where I was, and someone tried to snatch it from under me like I wouldn't notice. Spoiler, I noticed. And so did everyone else. This happened at a logistics and freight company in Savannah, Georgia. The company was mid-size, nothing too flashy, but important enough to handle major shipping routes from the US to Europe and Asia. I'd been working there for almost 6 years when all of this went down. My job wasn't glamorous, but I liked it. I handled scheduling, customs documents, warehouse coordination, and a million small things that kept our import-export operations running smoothly. I was the person who trained new hires, solved daily problems, and usually knew what would break before it actually broke. Then came Raymond. Raymond joined as a logistics analyst, which meant he was technically a few ranks under me. The guy came in hot. Loud, confident, always talking about his past leadership experience. Which was strange because when I looked at his resume, it was all over the place. He had bounced around jobs, nothing long-term, and didn't really have any international freight background. But I wasn't trying to judge. People grow, right? I gave him the benefit of the doubt. Until the second day. He walks up to my desk while I'm entering warehouse receipts into our ERP system. Doesn't even say good morning. Just leans over and says, So you should probably just teach me everything now since I'll be replacing you soon. I paused. Literally froze mid-keystroke. I turned and asked him to repeat that. Yeah, he said again, with this smirk that made my skin crawl. You've been here a while, right? Probably ready to move on. I'm trying to move up. So it'd be smart if you started showing me your process. Now, anyone who's worked in a corporate setting knows how people sometimes joke about climbing the ladder. But this wasn't a joke. He was serious. He wanted me to walk him through how to do my job so he could take it. I laughed a little and said, That's not really how this works. He rolled his eyes and replied, Fine. Then I'll just start taking credit for your work until they notice me. And that is when I knew what kind of person I was dealing with. The thing about people like Raymond is that they don't care how they move up. They just want to move up. Doesn't matter if they lie, cheat, or walk over people. I knew then he wasn't just some clueless guy trying to get ahead. He was someone who would try to wreck everything I built just to put his name on it. Still, I didn't react. I just said, Good luck, and turned back to my screen. But I was already planning what I'd do. Over the next few weeks, Raymond got bolder. I'd send an update to our port partners in New Jersey or Long Beach. He'd copy and paste my exact message to a separate email thread, BCC someone from leadership, and act like he had sent it first. I'd prepare a freight delay analysis spreadsheet. He'd reformat it, literally just change the font and cell colors, and send it around with his name on it. He started showing up early and hanging around my desk pretending to help. Then he'd repeat the things I said in meetings like they were his ideas. He was doing just enough to look involved, but not enough to actually understand what he was doing. It got worse when we had our internal planning meetings on Mondays. Raymond would chime in with things I had said in Slack just hours before, as if they were his own thoughts. One time, I jokingly mentioned an issue we were having with the customs process out of Hamburg, and 2 hours later, he brought it up on a call with the manager like he had researched it all on his own. I was watching him carefully now. I didn't say anything publicly. I didn't call him out in front of the team or fire back. I just let him talk, and every time he did I noted it. I had screenshots, version histories, time-stamped emails, Slack conversations. I kept it all. But I wasn't done. I wanted him to bury himself. Then came the big quarterly meeting. Every 3 months, we hosted a virtual call with international vendors. People from Rotterdam, Singapore, Dubai, Houston, and Los Angeles would join. We'd present shipping metrics, trends, and key issues to watch. It was one of the most important things I did, and it usually went through several levels of approval before it got shown to vendors. This quarter, I was running the whole show. My boss was out sick. So I prepared the deck myself, 25 slides, detailed visuals, summaries, shipment trends, and customs clearance stats broken down by region. I spent 3 full days fine-tuning it. The meeting was scheduled for 10 a.m. I walked out at 9:50 to grab a quick coffee from the break room. When I came back, Raymond was already on the Zoom call, presenting my slides. He was going slide by slide, reading my speaker notes word for word. Word for word. Didn't even change the formatting. He hadn't even bothered to delete my name from the file metadata. The file was literally saved under logistics_deck_Q2_by_ my name. I joined the call silently and watched. My jaw clenched so tight I thought I cracked a molar. He said, "As you can see, I've been keeping a close eye on the Hamburg customs issues and outlined a potential solution here." I blinked so hard I lost track of what he was saying. I stayed muted the whole time. Just watched him lie to international partners like he had done the work. I was too stunned to speak. But others weren't. One of our reps from Singapore, who I'd worked with for 3 years, messaged me privately. "Isn't that your deck? That's your voice in the script, no?" I replied. "Yes." That's when I decided Raymond was done. That same afternoon, I started putting everything together. I backed up all the decks I'd made in the past 6 months. Every email, file, and chat log. I had every slide I made for that call, complete with creation dates and change history. I even had a Zoom recording from a practice run I did for our team, where I narrated the whole thing. His voice wasn't in it once. Mine was. I also had the version history showing when he opened the file. 1 hour before the meeting. I printed everything. I saved it to a flash drive. Then I waited. Because I knew something he didn't. Raymond had submitted a promotion request to HR. I found out from someone in admin that he'd scheduled a one-on-one with our boss for that Thursday to pitch himself as a candidate for department lead, my job. He had written in his self-evaluation that he had transformed the reporting structure and personally handled the Q2 vendor meeting presentation. He thought he was about to win. What he didn't know was that I already had the bullets loaded. All I had to do was pull the trigger. More to come. I didn't rush. I let Thursday come. Raymond came in early that morning, dressed like he was going on a job interview. Brand new navy suit, red tie, shiny loafers. Even had a fresh haircut. He walked around the office like he owned it, talking louder, smiling more, trying to make eye contact with everyone like he wanted applause. He even stopped by my desk, tapped it with 2 fingers, and said, "Wish me luck. You'll want to be on my good side when I'm in charge." I just looked at him. Didn't say anything. He walked away chuckling like I was just jealous. His meeting with Linda, our department head, was set for 11 a.m. At 10:45, I sent Linda a quick email, subject, "For your review before 11 a.m. Attached was a folder full of everything. Side-by-side comparisons of reports I made versus what Raymond submitted. Screenshots of him copying my work. The presentation deck. The Zoom practice video. Slack messages. Version logs. A list of vendors I had direct contact with. The whole timeline. 10 minutes later, I saw Linda's door close behind Raymond. 15 minutes after that, her door opened. Raymond walked out fast, head down, not talking to anyone. No smile. No swagger. He went straight outside. Just disappeared. An hour later, I was called into Linda's office. She looked pissed. Calm but pissed. She asked me if everything in the folder was accurate. I told her yes. She said HR and legal were already involved. I nodded. That's all I needed to hear. That should have been the end of it. But it wasn't. Because 2 days later, something strange happened. I got an email from one of our major vendors in Rotterdam, someone I'd worked with personally for years. The email said, "Hey, just confirming, do we still send data to Raymond going forward? He said you'd be phasing out." I stared at that email for a long minute. Then another one came in. This time from our warehouse partner in New Jersey. "Hey, Raymond asked for direct access to our shipment dashboard. Is that okay with you?" What? He was gone. Or, that's what I thought. I immediately went to our IT admin and asked, "Does Raymond still have system access?" The admin checked. Eyes widened. "He shouldn't. But yeah? Looks like his login is still active. And he's been accessing files." He pulled up a log. Raymond had logged in the night before. Downloaded several internal spreadsheets, including my vendor contact list and shipment forecast templates. That wasn't just overstepping. That was data theft. I took the information straight to Linda. She called ID, legal, and HR in one motion. They killed all remaining access in 10 minutes. But the damage had already started. Raymond had reached out to 5 different vendors, claiming he was working, on contract, now and would continue, managing reports, from his own consulting role. He was trying to freelance my job while pretending he still worked with us. It got worse. I got a LinkedIn notification. Raymond had updated his title to Senior Logistics Consultant for Atlantic Freight Solutions. He also added a line that said, led the transformation of international vendor reporting processes and built the 2023 Q2 Global Operations Model from scratch. That was my work. I showed Linda. She took one look and called the company lawyer again. Over the next week, our legal team sent him a cease and desist. They also alerted the vendors, making it clear Raymond no longer had any affiliation with us and that he had been terminated. They gave me permission to contact everyone directly and clarify the truth. I spent that week doing damage control, apologizing to partners, rebuilding trust, fixing access issues, cleaning up the mess he tried to leave behind. I thought it was over. But Raymond wasn't finished. The following week, a recruiter reached out to me. Said she was working with a startup logistics firm in Atlanta and wanted to talk to me about a director-level opportunity. I asked where they got my name. She hesitated. Finally, she said, one of our consultants referred you. Said you trained him? Raymond Caldwell? He spoke very highly of you. I swear I stopped breathing for 2 full seconds. I asked her what he had said exactly. She replied, he mentioned you were his mentor and taught him everything about high-level freight systems. Said you two worked closely and that you were looking to move on soon. That liar. He had been using my name as a reference, telling people he learned under me. Like I was some proud teacher watching him rise. He even called me his mentor. The same guy who told me he'd be replacing me. I told the recruiter the truth. Every word. No drama, just facts. She sounded stunned. Said she had no idea. Thanked me and ended the call quickly. 2 hours later, Raymond removed all mention of our company from his LinkedIn. But the story wasn't done yet. Because a few days later, I found out he was suing the company. Yeah. He filed a complaint with the state labor board claiming wrongful termination. Said he was discriminated against, targeted unfairly, and fired without cause. That's when things got real messy. I thought the lawsuit was just noise. Like a final tantrum from someone who couldn't handle the consequences of their own actions. But then legal called me in. They needed a statement. Apparently, Raymond's complaint wasn't just about wrongful termination. He claimed retaliation, saying he was fired after raising concerns about inaccuracies in my reports. That's right, he tried to flip the script and make it look like he was the whistleblower. He even attached examples to his filing. And guess what he used? My old reports. The same ones he stole, copied, and slapped his name on. Only now, he had gone into the Excel files, changed a few numbers around, and highlighted them in red to make it look like I had made serious data errors. He submitted fake evidence. Our legal team knew it. I knew it. But that didn't stop the state from opening a review. Not a court case yet, but enough to slow everything down and start pulling people in for questioning. For 2 weeks, I had to re-verify everything I'd done for the last 6 months. Every report. Every data entry. Every client interaction. My team was supportive, but it was exhausting. Raymond wasn't just trying to steal credit anymore. He was trying to burn me down on his way out. And then things got really strange. Our Rotterdam partner reached out again. Said Raymond had contacted them from a different email, using a new company name, Caldwell Global Logistics. Said he was starting his own consulting firm and offering competitive alternatives to what we provided. He had created his own little shell company. Same branding style, same language, same pitch. But it wasn't just that. He had taken some of our vendor data with him. Not just names and emails. He had internal pricing breakdowns, seasonal freight estimates, client priority tags, stuff that's not public, and definitely not his to keep. He'd downloaded it when he still had access. Quietly. Probably over a period of weeks. He must have known he was walking a line and decided if he was going to get caught, he'd walk out with as much as he could carry. Now it wasn't just about office politics or a fake resume. It was corporate theft. The legal team called in a forensic IT firm. They combed through the server logs, flagged his activity, mapped his download times, and found the external drive serial number he used. Raymond had taken over 4,000 files. Everything from customs templates to internal training guides. Our entire onboarding document library for new hires. Even internal policy drafts still in review. At that point, things moved fast. The company filed a formal civil lawsuit against him, intellectual property theft, data breach, and fraud. We also submitted a complaint with the FBI's cybercrime division. Apparently, international vendor data triggers a bigger legal response. And here's where it twisted again. One morning, I came into work and found a letter slid under my office door. No envelope. Just a single folded sheet of paper, typed and signed. It said. You don't understand who you're messing with. Keep pushing and you'll regret it. That stopped me cold. I reported it immediately. Security pulled the cameras from the hallway. We found footage, someone walking through the floor after hours in a hoodie and a baseball cap. Looked like they swiped a badge to get in. Badge logs showed it was one of our junior warehouse staff, a kid named Jordan who'd only been with us a few months. When questioned, he broke in less than 10 minutes. He admitted Raymond had paid him $300 to let him into the building after hours. $300. That's all it took for someone to let a disgraced ex-employee into a restricted office. That was the final straw. Company leadership called an emergency town hall. Not to name names publicly, but to say the company was tightening security, and that any breach of internal protocol going forward would be dealt with immediately. They also updated the entire system overnight. Two-factor authentication, new passwords, revoked guest access, locked file permissions, even physical security keycards for management. Raymond was out there acting like some mastermind. But every move he made was messy. Desperate. His fake LinkedIn credentials had been scrubbed, his shell company flagged, and vendors warned to stay away. But the legal process moved slowly. Meanwhile, I was still showing up every day, doing my job, cleaning up the mess, and living with the anxiety of a lawsuit hanging in the background. Until I got another message. This time, from a private Gmail account. The subject line was, "Let's talk. Off the record." No body. Just that. Then a few hours later, another one came in. "I didn't want it to go this far. You made it personal." This time I forwarded it straight to legal and HR. But something about it felt different. Not just a threat. It felt like he was starting to spiral. That night, I googled Raymond. There was a new Reddit post under an alt account I'd never seen before. But I knew it was him. The title? "My boss took credit for my work and got me fired. Now I'm fighting back." In the post, he twisted the whole story. Painted himself as the underdog. Said I was some overpaid dinosaur who'd been coasting for years while he tried to modernize the process. He accused me of sabotage and of smearing him when he tried to expose inefficiencies. The post didn't name names, but the details matched. The timeline. The phrases. Even some of the slide content from our Q2 deck. He turned it into a fake whistleblower story. Some people in the comments believed him. That's what really got me. There were strangers calling me lazy old guard gatekeeping. And worse, all because he told them a convincing lie. I knew I couldn't respond. I couldn't say anything publicly. Company policy. Ongoing litigation. But inside I was fuming. He'd taken so much already, and now he was rewriting the narrative, in public like he was some misunderstood genius. That night, I started writing everything down. Every message. Every timestamp. Every fake email, every deleted file, every threat, every shred of evidence. Because this wasn't just about proving him wrong anymore. It was about making sure when the hammer came down, it crushed him completely. 2 weeks later, the company called an all-hands meeting for leadership and senior staff. Not a Zoom call. In person. That never happened unless something big was going down. I got the invite and knew something was about to break. Linda pulled me aside that morning. "Just a heads up," she said quietly. "There's going to be a visitor. HR will be there. Legal too." "Who?" I asked, though I already knew. "Raymond," she said. "His attorney requested a mediation session before the hearing. We agreed under strict terms. He won't be alone. You won't be alone. And this is the only time we're giving him the floor." My stomach dropped, but I nodded. It was going to happen. The confrontation. That afternoon, I walked into the conference room. There were maybe 15 people there. Linda, HR, legal, 2 managers from other departments, and a handful of witnesses. Then Raymond walked in. Not the smug, smirking version I remembered. He looked tired. Skin pale, eyes sunken. He wasn't wearing a suit this time. Just a rumpled shirt and slacks like he'd slept in them. He sat down across from me. For a long moment, no one said anything. Then HR started. "This is a final opportunity for clarity and resolution. Mr. Caldwell has presented his claims. Mr. My name has presented his evidence. Today is about the truth." Raymond's lawyer opened with some nonsense about miscommunication, lack of proper training, ambiguity in job roles, etc. Then they handed out a folder. Inside, more fake reports. But this time, Raymond had taken my personal notes, from a locked folder I never shared, and rewritten them with minor errors to make them look careless. He even labeled them, legacy files, to make it sound like I was clinging to outdated methods. I lost it. I looked at him and said, without raising my voice, "Why are you still lying?" Raymond didn't answer. Just stared at the table. "Why?" I said again. "You stole my work. You lied. You got caught. And now you're trying to rewrite history like this is some game." Still nothing. HR gave him space to respond. And he did. But what he said wasn't what anyone expected. He looked up, eyes red, and said, "I didn't plan it like this." Everyone tensed. "I was desperate," he continued. "I've been fired from 3 jobs in 4 years. Every time, I thought I could fix it by being better or looking better. This job was the first time I saw something that worked. And instead of learning it, I took it. I thought if I could look successful, I'd become successful." He paused. No one said a word. "I thought if I could fake it long enough," he said, "I'd become the person I was pretending to be." I didn't feel pity. Not exactly. But for the first time, I understood how deep his mess went. "You didn't just take credit," I said. "You nearly ruined real partnerships. You used my name to try and land jobs. You put my career at risk so you could feel important." Raymond looked at me, tears forming, and said, "I know." And that's when Linda, who had stayed quiet the whole time, spoke. She stood up. Cold voice. No emotion. "Raymond, do you realize how close we were to losing 2 major vendors because of you? Do you know how many hours we spent cleaning up after your lies?" He didn't speak. "You had a shot here," she said. "You were given trust, access, and respect you hadn't earned. And you chose to weaponize that." His lawyer tried to interject. Linda shut it down instantly. "We're not here for spin," she said. "We're here for truth. And that truth ends today." She turned to legal. "You have everything you need. Pursue full damages." HR stood and formally ended the session. It was quiet as people gathered their papers. I sat still. Then, as people were leaving, Raymond stood up and walked over to me. People noticed. Everyone got quiet again. "I'm sorry," he said. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It sounded like someone admitting the obvious after fighting it for months. I looked at him. "You're sorry now because it all collapsed," I said. "But if it hadn't, you'd still be stealing." He didn't deny it. He nodded. "Just once. I wish I had done things differently," he said. I told him. "We all do. But you made choices. And now you live with them." He left after that. No dramatic exit. Just walked out of the room quietly while everyone else watched. The aftermath hit fast. Vendors were notified again, this time, with a formal legal notice against Caldwell Global Logistics. Raymond's attempt at a freelance brand was publicly shut down. Word spread in our industry fast. His name was flagged by more than one HR list for dishonesty. The lawsuit he filed? Dropped within a week. Turns out, once the mediators saw the full evidence, especially the server logs, fake documents, and access violations, they knew it was a lost cause. He could have gone down further if we'd pressed criminal charges. The company didn't. They just wanted him gone. And me? I stayed. Got a promotion 6 months later. Bigger title. Bigger team. More responsibility. But I'll be honest. Something changed. For a long time, I stopped trusting new hires. Every time someone asked too many questions or hovered a little too close, I tensed up. I'd catch myself double-checking access permissions, scanning document histories, watching out for shadows I didn't even realize I feared. Eventually, I eased up. But I still keep backups of everything. I still watch carefully. Linda told me once, "You handled it better than most people would have." But I didn't feel victorious. Just tired. Wiser, maybe. But tired. You spend years building a reputation. One person can almost tear it down in a few weeks if you're not careful. I learned that trusting your instincts isn't being paranoid. It's being prepared. And if someone ever walks into your office and says, "You should teach me everything since I'll be replacing you soon," you don't laugh. You start documenting. Because people like Raymond don't show up wearing horns. They show up with a handshake and a smile. But underneath? They're just waiting for the right moment to take your seat. And next time? I'll be ready.